watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, PM Narendra Modi holds joint press statement with Cyprus President Christodoulidis, says opportunity for a new chapter in the India-Cyprus partnership as leaders discuss business, trade and bilateral ties. PM Modi accorded Grand Cross of the Order of Macarius III, the highest honor of the Republic of Cyprus. PM Modi dedicates honor to friendship between India and Cyprus. Israel-Iran hostilities continue. US hopes for a peace deal. Indian students in Iran being moved to safer places as the conflict deepens. World leaders including US President Francis Macron and Japan's Prime Minister arrive in Canada for the G7 summit. After concluding Cyprus visit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to emplain for Canada later today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Nikos Christodoulidis of Cyprus attended a joint press meeting. In a joint press statement addressing the media, PM Modi said that India and the European Union are committed to concluding a free trade agreement by the end of this year. Earlier this year, the India-Cyprus-Greece Business and Investment Council was launched. These initiatives will further strengthen business ties among the two countries.
Technology, innovation, health, agriculture, renewable energy, क्लाइमेट जस्टिस जैसे क्षेत्रों में आपसी सहयोग पर भी विस्तार से बात हुई है। साइप्रस में योग और आयुर्वेद के प्रसार को देखकर हम उत्साहित हैं। भारतीय टूरिस्ट के लिए भी साइप्रस एक पसंदीदा डेस्टिनेशन है। उनके लिए डायरेक्ट एयर कनेक्टिविटी बनाने पर जोर दिया जाएगा। हमने निश्चय किया कि मोबिलिटी एग्रीमेंट को जल्द पूरा करने के लिए काम किया जाएगा।
Prime Minister Modi also stressed on enhancing connectivity with the Mediterranean region and expressed concern on the ongoing conflicts in West Asia and Europe.
साइप्रस द्वारा सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में भारत की स्थायी सदस्यता का समर्थन करने के लिए हम आपके आभारी हैं। पश्चिम एशिया और यूरोप में चल रहे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को लेकर हम दोनों ने चिंता व्यक्त की है। इनका नकारात्मक प्रभाव केवल उस क्षेत्र तक सीमित नहीं है। हम दोनों मानते हैं कि यह युद्ध का युग नहीं है। संवाद से समाधान और स्थिरता की बहाली ये मानवता की पुकार है। मेडिटरेनियन क्षेत्र के साथ कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ाने पर भी हमने बात की। हम सहमत है कि इंडिया मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर से क्षेत्र में शांति और समृद्धि का मार्ग प्रशस्त होगा। राष्ट्रपति जी, मैं आपको भारत यात्रा के लिए सादर निमंत्रित करता हूं।
Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis said both nations have historic friendship, and let's get you the latest visuals of Prime Minister Modi on his visit to the historic city center in Nicosia along with the President of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis. If you're just joining us, these are the latest visuals of the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, on a visit to the historic center of Nicosia along with the President of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis. Remember, it's day 2, the last day of the Prime Minister's visit to Cyprus, his first in his term in office and also the first by an Indian Prime Minister in more than 2 decades. This is the first leg of his 3-nation tour of Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. The two leaders have just concluded their delegation-level talks, followed by a joint press statement in which the two leaders outlined a 5-year roadmap for the development of the bilateral ties between India and Cyprus. Both countries also agreeing to launch a defense cooperation program to boost cooperation in defense and security, among other decisions taken at the end of those bilateral talks. Just to recap for the benefit of viewers joining us on this broadcast, these are the latest visuals coming to you from Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus, of Prime Minister Modi, along with the President of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis, on a visit to the historic city centre in Nicosia. Right, you're watching these latest visuals of the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, along with the President of Cyprus, Mr. Nikos Christodoulidis, visiting the historic city centre in Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus, towards the end of their delegation-level talks in the city. Remember, this is day 2, the last day of his 2-day visit to Cyprus. It forms a part, the first leg in fact, of a 3-nation tour of Cyprus, Canada and Croatia. In other news, Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis said that both nations have historic friendship. The relations between Cyprus and India are based on shared historic experience and values.
आज हमने इस बात पे चर्चा की कि हम आपस में अपने व्यावसायिक और आर्थिक सहयोग को कैसे आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। कुछ साइप्रस के लिए भी लाभदायक होंगे जो कि हम दे सकते हैं। हमारी एक जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक लोकेशन है जिसकी वजह से हम ईयू के जो बाजार है उसके प्रवेश द्वार के रूप में काम कर सकते हैं।
हमने अपने द्विपक्षीय सहयोग को बढ़ाने के बारे में भी बात करी और कई विभिन्न मुद्दों पर सिनर्जी के बारे में, रक्षा सहयोग, संकट प्रबंधन, पर्यटन और नवाचार और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के क्षेत्र में भी काम करना चाहते हैं और हम सहमत हुए इन सभी क्षेत्रों में एक साथ मिलकर काम करने ताकि हम विशिष्ट परिणाम दे सकें।
He also invited PM Modi for an EU Council meeting that will be held in Cyprus next year. He recalled the heinous attack in Pahalgam and extended support to India's fight against terrorism.
कि बहुत ही कायराना जो आतंकवादी हमला हुआ है पहलगाम में, और मैं सार्वजनिक तौर पर एक बार फिर दोहराना चाहूंगा कि साइप्रस गणराज्य का पूरा समर्थन है भारत के साथ। हम भारत के साथ खड़े हैं आतंकवाद के खिलाफ उनकी लड़ाई में। आतंकवाद के हर रूप से लड़ना है, आतंकवाद को हम स्वीकार नहीं कर सकते। और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, हम आपके साथ खड़े हैं, हम आपके अधिकारों की रक्षा करते हैं ताकि हम सुरक्षा प्रदान कर सकें आपके नागरिकों को।
Earlier, PM Modi and Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis held a delegation-level talks covering the full range of India-Cyprus relations. The talks also focused on cooperation in areas such as defense, security, trade, technology, healthcare, renewable energy and climate justice. Prime Minister Modi was accorded the decoration of the Grand Cross of the Order of Macarius III. The Grand Cross of the Order of Macarius III was instituted in 1981 by the then President of Cyprus, Spyros Kyprianou. The honor reflects the enduring India-Cyprus bilateral partnership and shared commitment to work together for the common vision for peace, progress and prosperity. Accepting the honor on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians, the Prime Minister expressed his heartfelt gratitude to the President, the government and the people of Cyprus. He dedicated the award to the long-standing warm ties between India and Cyprus, which are built on shared values and mutual trust.
यह सम्मान केवल मेरा नरेंद्र मोदी का सम्मान नहीं है, ये 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। उनके सामर्थ्य और आकांक्षाओं का ये सम्मान है। ये हमारे देश के सांस्कृतिक भाईचारे और वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की विचारधारा का सम्मान है। मैं ये अवार्ड भारत और साइप्रस के मैत्रीपूर्ण संबंधों को, हमारे साझा मूल्यों और हमारी पारस्परिक समझ को समर्पित करता हूं। सभी भारतीयों की ओर से मैं इस सम्मान को अत्यंत विनम्रता और कृतज्ञता से स्वीकार करता हूं।
And joining me from Nicosia in Cyprus is my colleague Shubhendu Ghosh. Shubhendu, talk to us a bit more, if you will, about the major outcomes from the talks between the two leaders.
Hello, Ramesh. Yes, hugely significant. A great number of outcomes that have really come up with the statements of the two leaders, Prime Minister of India and President of Cyprus. Let's first begin with the manner in which the two countries look at one another as very, very close partners who think alike, with common values of democracy, of respect for international laws. That forms the foundation of the relationship. That was an idea, a point that was reiterated by both the President of Cyprus and Prime Minister of India. When the President of Cyprus, he spoke first while delivering the statements, he also referred to acknowledging, appreciating and expressing regard for India's continuous support for Cyprus's own challenges that it has struggled with for the past 5 decades or so. The Cyprus question, the issue of territorial integrity and sovereignty, it has said that it appreciates that India has always stood with strength with Cyprus on this issue, hoping that with as per international laws, the issue could be resolved. It also really called out Turkey for its illegal occupation of Cyprus and commended India for its steadfast support. At the same time, and he said that I publicly condemn once again the dastardly terror attack that took place in Pahalgam. And Cyprus stands with India as far as fighting the scourge of terrorism is concerned in all its forms and manifestations. So fundamentally, we see that Cyprus and India stand with one another in principle. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also acknowledged and appreciated Cyprus's stand over the issue of terrorism, the support that came in. One of the first countries to, in fact, call out the menace of terrorism when the attack took place in Pahalgam. Moving beyond that, we see a great opportunity to expand the trade and investment ecosystem for both Cyprus and India. We see a certain roadmap that is being planned by the leaders, the details of which we are hoping to receive shortly. The trade and investment looks at the manner in which both India, Cyprus, and the larger European Union region could, in fact, work together for common prosperity, for the values of democracy that they share. Cyprus as a gateway to the European Union, as the upcoming president of the Council of European Union, holds great promise. And the president of Cyprus said very clearly that he had assured Prime Minister Modi that Cyprus would prioritize India's engagement with European Union in economic terms and other strategic aspects. So we see a very close historical friendship now really flowering into a partnership that has tremendous potential, not just at the bilateral level, but the manner in which they could be a defining, they could play a defining role for the region of both Europe and Asia as a whole.
Shubhendu, you spoke about the substantive deliverables from that visit, but this visit was also high on symbolism. Now, yesterday we saw the President of Cyprus himself receiving the Prime Minister at the airport in Larnaca. And just a short while ago, we saw the Cyprus government presenting its highest honor on Prime Minister Modi.
Absolutely. Symbolism really signifies the kind of close ties that India and Cyprus share, the bonhomie that the leaders share. It's a unique honor when the president of a country comes to the airport. It's a most special gesture by a president of Cyprus to come to the airport in person and receive Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And then today, the highest civilian honor of Cyprus accorded on Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks volumes about the close ties between India and Cyprus, but also a celebration of the direct relationship between the two leaders, Prime Minister and President. And in that sense, it really augurs well for the kind of very ambitious partnership that these leaders are now charting. There is great degree of comfort, confidence, and faith in one another's capability. They had reiterated that at a very fundamental level, India and Cyprus are similar thinking countries. Their values, their common historical experiences, colonial experiences have really shaped their worldview in the manner that there is a great degree of convergence. But these gestures, President receiving Prime Minister at the airport, the highest civilian honor, all of this really strengthening that already closer bond that the two countries and we see the two leaders share.
Right, we'll leave it there. Shubhendu, thank you. Shubhendu Ghosh reporting there from Nicosia in Cyprus. Addressing a joint press briefing, PM Modi said that Cyprus and India share mutual respect for one another. After 2 decades, an Indian Prime Minister has visited Cyprus. This is an opportunity to write a new chapter in the India-Cyprus partnership.
अपनी साझेदारी को स्ट्रेटेजिक दिशा देने के लिए हम अगले 5 वर्षों के लिए एक ठोस रोडमैप बनाएंगे। रक्षा और सहयोग को और मजबूती देने के लिए द्विपक्षीय डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन प्रोग्राम के तहत रक्षा उद्योग पर बल दिया जाएगा। साइबर और मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी पर अलग से डायलॉग शुरू किया जाएगा। क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म के विरुद्ध भारत की लड़ाई में साइप्रस के सतत समर्थन के लिए हम बहुत बहुत आभारी हैं। आतंकवाद, ड्रग्स और आर्म्स की तस्करी की रोकथाम के लिए हमारी एजेंसीज के बीच रियल टाइम इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सचेंज का मैकेनिज्म तैयार किया जाएगा। हम दोनों सहमत हैं कि हमारे आपसी व्यापार और निवेश में बहुत पोटेंशियल है।
Now, strengthening ties with a trusted partner, Prime Minister Modi was accorded a ceremonial reception at the presidential palace in Nicosia. The PM was warmly received by President Christovoulidis. The Prime Minister also paid his respects to the first President of Cyprus, Archbishop Macarius III. After the ceremonial reception, PM Modi and Cyprus President Nikos Christovoulidis at the presidential palace, both leaders discussed ways to deepen cooperation in newer areas of defense industry, connectivity, innovation, tourism and mobility, alongside traditional areas of trade and investments, counter-terrorism and culture. They called for enhancing connectivity between the two countries, which would strengthen the IMEC corridor. They noted that Cyprus is an important partner for India in the European Union. Further cementing investment, technology and business linkages, Prime Minister Modi and Cypriot President Nikos Christovoulidis held a business roundtable earlier on Sunday. The two leaders called for strengthening economic ties in the fields of trade, investment, financial services, fintech, startup, innovation, AI, IT, logistics, defense, connectivity, shipping and mobility. The Prime Minister highlighted India's stable political environment, transformative digital revolution over the past decade, and opportunities for Cyprus to collaborate through initiatives such as the Unified Payments Interface.
हमने ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस के साथ साथ ट्रस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस उस पर भी उतना ही बल दिया है। आज भारत में स्पष्ट नीति है, उसके साथ साथ स्टेबल पॉलिटी भी है। 6 दशकों के बाद ऐसा हुआ है कि एक ही सरकार लगातार तीसरी बार चुन करके आई है। भारत की डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड और टैलेंट से आप भली भांति परिचित हो और आपकी बातचीत में भी इसका जिक्र हुआ है। पिछले 10 वर्षों में डिजिटल रिवॉल्यूशन आया है, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन एक मिसाल बना है, यूनिफाइड पेमेंट्स इंटरफेस यानी यूपीआई के माध्यम से आज विश्व का 50% डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शन भारत में होता है। फ्रांस जैसे कई देश इससे जुड़े हैं। साइप्रस को भी इससे जुड़ने के लिए बात चल रही है और मैं इसका स्वागत करता हूं। भारत में फ्यूचरिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के विकास में हम $100 बिलियन से अधिक का सालाना निवेश कर रहे हैं।
Now, following the business roundtable with Prime Minister Modi, business leaders praised the strengthening of India-Cyprus relations. They said that the event highlighted the potential for investment for trade between the two countries, with a focus on sectors such as fintech, technology and renewable energy.
When you get such political support from the Prime Minister himself, I think that's very exciting. I think we have a very old history that we have with the Hellenic world, between India and Greece and Cyprus, which goes back thousands of years. You know, we've seen coins from Greece which have been discovered in India. We have Indian trade with them. So I think the trade is very ancient, and I think now that we have such a great, I would say, focus and impetus given by our Prime Minister, I think trade and business will only grow and increase.
As a bank, we want to promote the idea that Cyprus and Greece could become gateways of Indian companies which want to do business in Europe. We have signed an MOU with NPCI to enable UPI in Cyprus. We have also done the same thing for Greece. And Eurobank is opening a rep office in Mumbai to promote the business between the three countries. We have applied for that in RBI, and hopefully before year end, we should celebrate the opening of our office in Mumbai.
Presenting 32 opportunities for doing trades, and 4 of them are strategic MOUs that have been signed, which will lead to development, capital market, investor interest, benefit both the countries. The 32 deals that we are talking about is across pharma. We're talking about diamond industry, real estate, industries, financial markets. So it's very interesting phase that we are getting into.
Prime Minister Modi's visit to Cyprus is a great honor, and it's very important for us as we position Cyprus as a hub between the EU, Middle East and the East. We're at the eastern frontier of the European Union, and Cyprus is the base for many Western companies investing into India, but also is the gateway for many companies from the Middle East and from the East who want to access the European market. And we want to align ourselves with India's ambitions in this regard.
The NSC CEO Ashish Chauhan, while speaking about the business meeting with PM Narendra Modi, mentioned that out of many MOUs signed between the two countries, the most important MOU signed was the one between Cyprus Stock Exchange and NSC, which not only highlights relations between India and Cyprus on political levels, but also on business levels.
One of the more significant MOUs is the collaboration between the GIFT City NSC International Exchange, which is an international finance service center, and the Cyprus, which itself has emerged as a financial service center, to do dual listing, get European companies to list on both exchanges, do research, and also do joint development on many products. So it's a great occasion that Honorable Prime Minister himself has decided to visit Cyprus and increase on a broad brush basis the relationship between two countries, not only on political level but also on business levels.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. French President Emmanuel Macron warns that Greenland is not to be sold or taken. More details on Utah shooting that took place during the West Fest.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. PM Narendra Modi holds joint press statement with Cyprus President Christovoulidis, says opportunity for a new chapter in the India-Cyprus partnership as leaders discuss business, trade and bilateral ties. PM Modi accorded Grand Cross of the Order of Macarius III, the highest honor of Cyprus. PM Modi dedicates honor to friendship between the two countries. Israel-Iran hostilities continue. US hopes for a peace deal. Indian students in Iran being moved to safer places as the conflict deepens. World leaders, including US President Francis Macron and Japan's PM, arrive in Canada for G7 summit. After concluding Cyprus visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to emplane for Canada later today. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held a telephonic conversation with his UAE counterpart Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan on Monday. They discussed the current situation in West Asia and the role of diplomacy. Minister Jaishankar said that he and Abdullah bin Zayed agreed to remain in touch. Minister Jaishankar also spoke with Foreign Affairs Minister of Armenia Ararat Mirzoyan. Both leaders discussed ongoing developments in the region and close cooperation. And now to updates on the Ahmedabad plane crash. A total of 80 victims of the tragic plane crash have been identified so far through DNA matching, including former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani. Of these, the bodies of 33 victims have been handed over respectfully to the relatives. The victims, whose mortal remains were handed over, were from Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Khera, Botad and other places. A large team of forensic experts have been working to identify bodies of those killed in one of the worst aviation disasters in India by matching DNA with samples collected from relatives. On to weather updates now. The India Meteorological Department issued weather alerts for the western parts of the country, warning of heavier downpours issued. The department has recorded heavy rains in Maharashtra's Mumbai and Pune districts. The weather department sounded a yellow alert for Mumbai, forecasting heavy showers at isolated places while warning for a thunderstorm in the region. Raigad district has been put under red alert, including nearby areas of the Konkan division of the state. A yellow warning of thunderstorm, lightning and gusty winds with speeds of 60 to 105 kilometers per hour has been issued over Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat regions. Delhi is likely to experience some respite from heat wave as temperatures are expected to range between 35 and 41 degrees Celsius during the day. The capital is likely to experience light to moderate rain accompanied by thunderstorm and lightning in the coming week. India's Ministry of Home Affairs issued a notification on Monday for conducting population census in 2027. The government said the census will be conducted in 2 phases. It also shared the reference date for population census 2027 in the notification. March 1, 2027 will be the reference date for all states and union territories except Ladakh and snowbound areas of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. October 1, 2026 is the reference date for remaining states and union territories. The Census of India is conducted under the provisions of the Census Act of 1948 and the Census Rules of 1990. Conflict escalates in West Asia, with Israel and Iran attacking each other with missile strikes. Iranian missiles have struck Israeli cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa on Monday, destroying homes and killing several people. Meanwhile, the conflict fueled concerns among global leaders as they meet for the G7 summit in Canada. DD India's Abhishek Bose gets you this report.
The visuals you see on your screen are from a major oil refinery in Israel's port city of Haifa. Thick smoke rose from the plant after Iranian missiles hit it before dawn. Iran launched attacks on both Tel Aviv and Haifa overnight, killing several people. This happened a day after Israel attacked major oil depots and gas fields in Iran. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces hit command centers linked to Iran's Quds Force. Israel says these centers are used by Iran to attack Israel through its proxies. Israel's strikes, which began Friday, have targeted Iranian nuclear and military sites, killing top Iranian commanders and nuclear scientists. Both sides have continued their attacks since then. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian warned that Iran will respond even more strongly if the attacks continue.
Israel knows no boundaries. They intrude wherever they want with permission from America. We will give a powerful response to any aggression they may commit.
Israel sees Iran's nuclear program as a direct threat. These attacks aim to stop Iran from making nuclear programs. But Iran says its nuclear work is peaceful and denies any nuclear weapons ambitions. Global attention has turned to West Asia at a time when world leaders are meeting for G7 summit in Canada. US President Donald Trump said that he hopes Israel and Iran can broker a deal.
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Israel has the right to defend itself, but stressed that a diplomatic solution is the best way to solve the issue in the long run.
Israel has the right to defend itself, Iran is the principal source of regional instability, and we've always been very clear. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. We have voiced our strong concerns over Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. A diplomatic solution remains the best way in the long run to address concerns about Iran's nuclear program.
This conflict is disrupting the global oil market and raising fears of a wider regional war, which could threaten the global economy. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
The US Embassy in Tel Aviv suffered damage after Iranian missile strikes on the city. The embassy was closed on Monday following the attack. Several residential buildings in a densely populated area of Tel Aviv were destroyed in the attack that blew out windows of hotels and other nearby homes located just a few hundred meters from the US Embassy branch in the city. US President Donald Trump landed in Calgary, Canada on Sunday, setting the stage for a high-stakes G7 summit in the Canadian Rockies. While the formal agenda spans global economic stability, climate and geopolitical security, much of the behind-the-scenes energy appears focused on damage control, particularly from allies hoping to persuade Trump to reverse or at least ease his hardline stance on tariffs. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, also in Calgary, confirmed that she had a good phone call with Trump ahead of the summit. Yet, in a signal of Europe's cautious optimism, she revealed that the EU was preparing contingencies in case talks with Washington, D.C. collapse. Among other early arrivals are British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, France's President Emmanuel Macron, and Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. On the sidelines, ahead of the formal G7 meet in Canada, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney held a bilateral meeting with Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Sunday. The Australian PM said that increasing the number of nuclear-powered submarines operated by Australia, Britain and the United States will make the Indo-Pacific more secure and was in the United States' interests.
There's a range of benefits that come, and indeed having Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States all having increased nuclear-powered submarines, in our case conventionally armed, is something that will make the Indo-Pacific area more secure. That is in the interests of the United States, and I will indicate that very clearly going forward.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney also met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Merz and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday, discussing interests in defence and critical minerals, among other issues. In the United States, 3 people were killed during Utah's West Fest on Sunday. The police said that 3 killed included an 18-year-old man, a 41-year-old woman, and an 8-month-old infant. Authorities reported that 2 groups had an argument, and when the police approached them, a 16-year-old fired a gun. The suspect has been taken into custody. The West Fest is an annual celebration commemorating the establishment of West Valley City and recognizing the various cultures represented throughout the city. The latest update in Minnesota lawmakers' shootings. Police arrested a man on Sunday who allegedly shot dead a Democratic state lawmaker and a husband while posing as a police officer, according to the report. The man was arrested near his farm near Green Isle, Minnesota, but Minnesota Department of Public Safety did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the arrest. During a press conference, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said that they will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served.
To Melissa and Mark's family, I cannot fathom your pain and the grief that you're going through. We'll take solace in the memory and the work that Melissa did, and you can rest assured that we will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served and the individual responsible for this serves the time for the unspeakable act. State grieves with you. A moment in this country where we watch violence erupt. This cannot be the norm. It cannot be the way that we deal with our political differences. Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has announced that the nightly curfew in the city will continue for a couple more days because of ongoing protests against immigration raids. The protests, which began on 6th June, have been mostly peaceful but have been marred by sporadic violence, prompting President Trump to deploy 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to the area. Thousands of people participated in a rally and march against the raids and military crackdown. The protests are part of the No Kings series of anti-Trump demonstrations across the country. Mayor Bass expects the curfew to remain in place for a few more days to prevent incidents of vandalism and looting. Trump has directed federal authorities to ramp up deportation efforts, including in Los Angeles, despite the backlash. Though Mayor Bass has emphasized that the raids have generated significant anger and fear in the city. Two European countries, Lisbon and Spain, have been protesting against over-tourism, voicing negative impacts on their daily lives. In Portugal's capital, Lisbon, protesters carried banners reading "Lisbon against over-tourism" and chanting slogans like "Tourists go home." The demonstration was part of a broader movement coordinated by the Southern European Network Against Touristification, aiming to raise awareness about the adverse effects of unchecked tourism on local communities. Meanwhile, in Spain, protesters fired water pistols at shop windows and setting off smoke in Barcelona, while many setting off colored smoke and putting stickers saying "Neighborhood Self-Defense, Tourists Go Home" on shop windows and hotels. France's President Emmanuel Macron warned that Greenland is not to be sold or to be taken during his official visit to the autonomous Danish territory coveted by US President Trump. Macron visited a Danish military frigate and surveyed the impact of climate change on a Greenlandic glacier with scientists from a climate research center. Macron strongly opposed Trump's idea of taking over Greenland. In a press conference alongside Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen, Macron said the island was threatened by predatory ambition and that its situation was a wake-up call for all Europeans.
A message of respect for your sovereignty and respect for your choices. Choice of security, economic and social development, sustainable monitoring of your natural resources. A message of support for your territorial integrity, your borders. In a few words, everybody think in France, in the European Union, that Greenland is not to be sold, not to be taken.
Right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. An Australian court begins the trial of Erin Patterson, accused of killing 3 elderly relatives of her estranged husband with a poisoned mushroom meal. The prosecution accuses her of foraging for the death caps before drying them and knowingly serving them in individual portions of beef Wellington at her home. While Patterson denies the charges, which carry a life sentence, with her defense calling the deaths a terrible accident. Thousands of Colombians participated in the Great Silent March to protest against the wave of violence in the country. The recent armed attack on Miguel Uribe Turbe, who has presidential aspirations, sparked solidarity across political and civil society sectors. Estee Lauder has confirmed the death of its chairperson emeritus Leonard Lauder at the age of 92. Lauder joined the company in 1958 and played a key role in transforming the business to a multi-brand cosmetics giant. He was the son of company founders Estee Lauder and Joseph Lauder. Still to come on DD India News Hour. An update on ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2025 schedule set to start in September this year. In tennis, Germany's Tatiana Maria wins the Queen's Club Championships title. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The wholesale price index-based inflation in India dipped to a 14-month low in May, coming in at 0.39%. As per data released by Ministry of Commerce and Industry on Monday, this wholesale inflation rate for the month of May has come down to the lowest level since March 2024. During this period, the food inflation rate has come down from 2.55% to 1.72% on a monthly basis, and the manufacturing WPI has come down from 2.62% to 2.04%. Cooling down costs of food, fuel and primary articles were among the top contributors to the WPI-based inflation, also known as headline inflation. Earlier, retail inflation data was released showing India's retail inflation fell to 2.82% in May 2025, which is the lowest level in 6 years. Retail inflation has softened because of the continuous decrease in the prices of food items. After a period of relative volatility, India's equity benchmark indices staged sharp rebound on Monday, following broad-based selling in the last two trading sessions because of the geopolitical situation in Iran and Israel and the ongoing US-China trade negotiations. Sensex traded 674.26 points, higher at 81,792.86, while Nifty 50 climbed 212.4 points to 24,931. Meanwhile, Reserve Bank of India's June monetary policy rate and liquidity measures have set a constructive tone for the Indian bond market. The CRR cut has added further momentum as it enhances system liquidity, supporting spreads and keeping money market rates anchored. Global geopolitics has been shaping up markets and businesses worldwide for quite some time, starting with the Russia-Ukraine war, then Israel-Hamas, and now Israel-Iran conflict. Oil prices shot up early Monday morning as tensions in the Middle East are escalating because of ongoing military conflict between Iran and Israel, with no de-escalation in sight. In the international market, Brent crude oil futures rose 0.82% to $74.84 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 0.99% to $73.7. They had surged more than $4 earlier in the session. Meanwhile, futures on Wall Street are currently looking to extend their gains from lower levels even as they await further details on the ongoing hostilities between Israel and Iran. Futures on the Dow Jones are currently up 220 points. S&P 500 futures are up 35 points, while those on the Nasdaq are up 130 points. European stock markets have opened broadly higher, with the regional Stocks 600 index up 0.15%, the UK's FTSE 100 up 0.27%, and France's CAC 40 and Germany's DAX both around 0.35% higher. Europe's oil and gas stocks on the Stoxx 600 were up 1.1% amid a spike in crude prices. Bangladesh's banking sector continues to be in ailing health as new figures reveal a significant jump in defaulted loans, painting a rather challenging picture for the sector and the economy. Bad loans in Bangladesh's banking sector surged to 24.13% in the March 2025 quarter, raising serious concerns about credit availability and overall economic stability. A recent report from Bangladesh's central bank shows that defaulted loans across 61 scheduled banks soared to Taka 4.2 trillion in the first quarter of 2025. Now, this marks a sharp increase of 3.93 percentage points in non-performing loans within just 3 months. Net classified loans in Bangladesh rose to 15% by March 2025, up from 10.5% in December 2024, highlighting inadequate coverage by bank reserves. Adding to the concern, banks are experiencing a deepening shortfall in loan loss provisions. State-owned commercial banks are facing the most pressure, with problematic loans rising to 45.79% in March 2025 from 42.83% in the previous quarter. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport news. Sweden's Armand Duplantis soared 6.28 meters to break the world pole vault record for the 12th time and set a new world best mark at the Stockholm Diamond League. The American-born double Olympic champion improved on his previous record by 1 centimeter on his first attempt, making the most of the perfect conditions to delight the home crowd. In cricket, the ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2025 schedule is out. The tournament will kick-start on the 30th of September. India will face Sri Lanka in Bengaluru in the opening match. Defending champion Australia will face New Zealand in Indore on the 1st October, while Bangladesh will take on Pakistan a day later in Colombo. The round-robin stage will run until 26th of October. Meanwhile, the semi-finals are scheduled for 29th and 30th of October before the final takes place on the 2nd of November. The top 4 sides from the round-robin stage will progress to the semi-finals. Javan veteran Tatiana Maria won the biggest title of her career after lifting the Queen's Club Championships title. Maria defeated 8th seed Amanda Anisimova 6-3, 6-4 at the championship final. The 37-year-old mother of 2 proved to be an unstoppable as she knocked out Grand Slam champions Elena Rybakina and Madison Keys en route to the decider. She also became the oldest player to win a WTA title since Serena Williams in Auckland 2020. The German now has 4 WTA titles after winning at Mallorca in 2018 on grass and back-to-back victories at the Bogota Clay Court event in 2022 and 23. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and around the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.